Just a couple announcements before I introduce tonight's presenter, Les Nunes. First, next Jazz at the Library, it's typically the third Tuesday of the month, and so it's going to be on the 15th of April. So we'd like to see you back here for another really nice presentation. I'd like to call your attention to a jazz event that is occurring at Fresno City College on April 5th at 5:30. It's the New West Guitar Group, which is a kind of a advanced but grounded in classic jazz guitar ensemble. They've been here before with really good reviews. So there's some posters back like this, back in the back at the Jazz Fresno table if you want. And finally, if there are students here who need a voucher saying that you were here for this program, there are vouchers in the back. Sandy will, if you go back there after the program, Sandy will, from Jazz Fresno on the board, will sign them for you to vouch that you were in fact here. So it's my pleasure tonight to introduce Les Nunes. Les got his degree at Fresno State in music education and a master's degree in trombone performance. He teaches 2 jazz bands and a concert band and a combo at Clovis High School. He teaches 2 jazz bands and 1 combo at Clark Intermediate School. Les has received the Certificate of Excellence from for directing, band directing from the National Academy, National Band Directors Association. Sorry about that. And over the last 30 years, his students have gotten superior ratings at many, many jazz festivals. In 2009, Les took his own group, the Urban Jazz Experience, to Europe, where they played and gave workshops culminating in the WRD Jazz Festival, where they played. Locally, he plays for the David Ouse Quintet and for the Jazz Composers Orchestra, and in addition has 2 groups which he personally heads. And so before I turn it over to Les, I just want to say how much, on a somewhat more personal note, how much Les has helped this program, Jazz at the Library. He's helped me find presenters. He's always come forward to help, and he's presented, when somebody says, well, who's going to do the next big read, Les always steps up to the plate and did Fahrenheit 451, did The Raven. Last year he did Call of the Wild, and tonight, of course, The Great Gatsby. He's just really valuable to really the community. So, Les Nunes.
Thank you. Before we get started, I want to introduce the band because just in case I get so wrapped up in things, I forget about that. Yes. Robert Bennett on the banjo. And Andrew Munoz on the piano. Adon Infante on the upright bass. Gary Newmark on drums. Kevin Kearley on trumpet. And Ron Catalano on the woodwinds. So I know there's a lot of different events surrounding the Great Gatsby, and so we are going to focus on the music of that time period. Okay, I'm not an expert on Art Deco or women's suffrage or things like that. I love all those things, but I'm not an expert on those, but I will mention them in the program tonight. So I thought we'd just get started off by playing some music and loosen up a little bit. So here we go. Thank you and good night. No, just kidding. Just kidding. He smiled understandingly, much more than understandingly. It was one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance in it that you may come across 4 or 5 times in a lifetime. It faced, or seemed to face, the whole external world for an instant, and then concentrated on you, with an irresistible prejudice in your favor. It understood you just as far as you wanted to be understood, believed in you as you would like to believe in yourself, and assured you that it had precisely the impression of you that at your best you hoped to convey. Precisely at that point it vanished. And I was looking at an elegant young roughneck, a year or two over 30, whose elaborate formality of speech just missed being absurd. Sometime before he introduced himself, I'd got a strong impression that he was picking his words with care. Almost at the moment when Mr. Gatsby identified himself, a butler hurried toward him with the information that Chicago was calling him on the wire. He excused himself with a small bow that included each of us in turn. chic of Araby. Your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, into your tent I'll creep, and the stars that shine above will light our way to love. And you'll run this land with me, 'cause I'm the chic of Araby. of Araby, and all the women worship me. You should see them follow me around, not bad, even wives of all the other sheiks. They beg thee to kiss my rosy cheeks, the wives of other sheiks. And that ain't bad, in fact, that's good. I found that I'm the cat. One more time, I'm the sheik of Araby. And your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, into your tent I'll creep, and the stars that shine up above will light our way to love. You'll roam this land with me. I'm the sheik of Araby. Let me raise my mic here a little bit.
Send you to San Antonio.
So, that actually, there was a verse of the Sheik of Araby in the book. If you read the book, that actually comes straight out of the book. So, as I dug into the Great Gatsby, I found, I just kept finding more and more and more and more. And I was thinking, wow, I didn't even know how to approach this. I'm finding so much stuff. It's like raking the leaves out in front, and then the wind comes and everything's back again. But I found a lot of interesting things. Actually, I'm going to have Tom change to the next slide there. There's some information here on the Sheik of Araby. All the tunes that we're going to do tonight are from the 20s, the Roaring 20s, the Jazz Age, which, by the way, F. Scott Fitzgerald coined that term, the Jazz Age. And this was originally done in a Rudolph Valentino movie, The Sheik, and then and a lot of people have done it since then. Let's see. Well, actually, even the Beatles. One of my favorite versions of it is the Beatles. Yeah, Steve Martin did it. Yeah, Fats Domino. You know, a lot of people have done that song, but it's been around since 1921. So beautiful song. But as I dug into Great Gatsby, I found out, like I said, more information than I thought I could ever use. So in this time period, as far as what we had to present tonight. But I saw the 2013 movie, and I thought there were a lot of great things about that movie. I thought the acting was pretty good, and the sets and everything, but the music, I didn't get it. So because there really wasn't much jazz in there, if any. So and so I think they sort of missed the boat on that. So I went back to the 1974 movie with Robert Redford, and found all the tunes that you're hearing tonight that were actually in the movie. Sheik of Araby, and you'll hear 5'2" in Charleston and tunes like that tonight. And so, and then I thought that was about it as far as the Great Gatsby being on film. But then I found out there was a movie in the 1940s that was the Great Gatsby, and it starred Alan Ladd. In fact, Shelley Winters was actually in it too. And then before that, there was a silent movie of the Great Gatsby in 1926. And that I didn't even know. I had sort of vaguely heard about the Alan Ladd thing, but I hadn't heard at all about the silent movie. And then, of course, there's been lots of adaptations on television of the Great Gatsby. In the '74 film, Nelson Riddle did the score, who's one of the greatest film composers of all time, and won an Academy Award for his score. And let me have Tom. I'm gonna have you switch there. Okay. My PowerPoint and my talking probably is not going to match up great, so I apologize about that. It was, like I say, it was difficult to try to figure out how everything was going to fit together. But here's some facts on the book, and as you can see, just like the movies, it took place in Long Island and New York City, and main character was Jay Gatsby, who was a very rich person that of questionable character, I would say, and he lived in this really big mansion, and the person who narrates in the book and in the movies, Nick Carraway, so everything comes from his point of view, and in fact, the way he speaks in the book, it actually makes him sound like he's the author, which he's not. But that's a great writer of the book, making it seem that way. But that first passage that I read from the book was from Nick actually speaking and narrating about the book. So, but let's see. Let's go to the next slide here. Okay. So here's some of the main characters. Let me just see. First of all, movies are great vehicles to get you to read books. Okay, but who actually read the book before they ever saw any of the movies? Let's see the hands. Good. Say, we're in the library, so I was hoping that would be true. But I'm glad actually that they've done so many books and turned them into movies, because it's motivated myself to read more books and try to read them before the movie comes out. And my wife is the same way. She doesn't want to go see the movie until she's read the book. And so I encourage you to do the same thing. But let's see. So Jay Gatsby's love interest, Daisy, we're going to do a song right now. It's called Whispering. I mean, not Whispering. It's called, hang on a second. What'll I Do? And this is a song that Nelson Riddle, on his score, it keeps appearing all throughout the movie, in the '74 Redford movie. And I think you'll like this tune. The music to this was done by Irving Berlin, who of course did so many tunes, and including White Christmas. And so I'm going to have Tom go to the next screen, and we're going to hope it has something to do with what I'm talking about. One more. There we go. There's a poster or some pictures from the 1926 silent movie. Okay, and we're going to go to the next screen. And here's the 1949 movie with Alan Ladd. And here's the next one, the '74 Robert Redford movie with Mia Farrow. And there's Leonardo DiCaprio in the latest movie. And we're going to go one more screen. That was pure luck. Gone is the romance that was so divine. 'Tis broken and cannot be mended. You must go your and I must go mine. But now that our love dreams have ended, what'll I do when you are far away and I am blue? What'll I do? What'll I do when I am wondering who is kissing you? What'll I do? What'll I do when just a photograph to tell my troubles to? When I'm alone with only dreams of you that won't come true, what'll I do? What'll I do when you are far away and I am blue? What'll I do? What'll I do when I am wondering who is kissing you? What'll I do? What'll I do with just a photograph to tell my troubles to? When I'm alone with only dreams of you that won't come true, what'll I do? Okay, we're going to talk just a minute about the jazz age. First of all, jazz was born in New Orleans, and because of a mixing of all these different cultures, and in the late 1800s, and so many different kinds of music had to do with contributing it. So tonight you're hearing blues, you're hearing things that are oriented around marches, because European marches were very important. Gospel music was really important. Even some of the European music like waltzes, okay, like we just played, that was a waltz. One of the tunes tonight we're going to do in a little bit is called Beale Street Blues, which is a street in Memphis, and we're going to play that tune for you in a little bit. But there's so many different kinds of music that contributed to the early, part of jazz. And 1917, the first jazz recording happened, and that was a band called the Original Dixieland Jazz Band. Nick LaRocca and his guys recorded first, and they actually had asked a really great trumpet player of the time, Freddie Keppard, to record the first album, and he refused because he didn't want people stealing his music. In fact, he was so paranoid about it that he would cover his hand with a handkerchief so you couldn't see his valves, because he didn't want people, that's serious, he didn't want people to take the things that he was playing. Of course, if you had a good ear, you'd take it anyway. So, but in 1917, the Original Dixieland Jazz Band made the first jazz recording. Of course, there was phonograph recordings, about 20 years before that, but that was the first jazz thing. And in the 20s, the author of this book coined the term jazz age. And so just to explain a little bit more about that, and our wonderful librarian explained some of it, okay, it not only affected the United States, but it affected Europe and France and Great Britain and other places in Europe, and especially, I was over in Germany a few years ago, and I actually bought some jazz recordings from the 1930s that were done in Germany in the 1930s. And so they were greatly affected by what was going on in the 20s. And jazz has influenced all kinds of culture, whether it be fashion, and again, she's talked about Art Deco, and huge influence. And let's see, the big cities, New York and Chicago, were cultural centers for jazz, and especially for African American artists. And the cool thing about jazz is a lot of the artists early on actually started mixing not only cultures, but whites and blacks started playing in bands, and were making huge strides towards breaking down the racial barriers because of jazz. And so radio, though, is what actually spread jazz to the whole world. But just like today's music influenced the youth of today, jazz greatly influenced the youth of that time. And there were people that were called flappers, women that were called flappers. And so, just for a second, we're going to have a fashion show, and I'm going to get a flapper up here so you can see. Hey, hey. So this is Kelly, and next to Kelly is Chris, and you're going to be seeing them dancing in a little bit. But the flapper image consisted usually of some drastic to shocking changes in women's clothing and hair. Nearly every article of clothing was trimmed down and lightened in order to make movement easier. and so they could dance. And the girls parked their corsets when they were going to go dancing. And the new energetic dances of the jazz age required women to be able to move freely, something the Ironsides didn't allow. Replacing the pantaloons and corsets were underwear that were called step-ins, and all kinds of things. Flappers had these things on their head. I don't know, what do you call those things? Things on your head, on your forehead. That's what I call them. Yeah, these fancy, okay. Fitzgerald, the author of this book, described the ideal flapper as lovely, expensive, and about 19. And held accentuated the flapper image by drawing young girls wearing unbuckled galoshes that would make a flapping noise when walking. Many people have tried to define flappers and have had a problem, like I am right now. But in America, flapper's usually been someone who's been giddy, attractive, and slightly unconventional. And in Mencken's words, was a somewhat foolish girl, full of wild surmises and inclined to revolt against the precepts and admonitions of her elders. Flappers had both an image and an attitude. So, out of this book, one second. I had a good flapper thing, but I'll come back to it. So right now, we are going to play another tune for you, and let's change the screen. One more, and one more. Here's some teenagers from the 1920s. Pretty crazy bunch of kids. I know, at Clovis High, they've got a lot of kids that look like this. And we're gonna look at that. Women smoking cigarettes, and in the workplace, that's, okay. And the 20s was all about money and excess and pleasure seeking. Okay, does it sound a little familiar to now? Probably. We're not too far from there. Okay, I just put this up because this is a recording I wanted to refer you to. I can't play it on the. I had it downloaded on YouTube, but we have to get on the internet, and it's sort of complicated. But this is a great tune that you want to go to YouTube and hear, a really great piano tune. So let's go on to the next slide. And one more. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so as again, I mentioned Beale Street, a street in Memphis that was very popular street and still is. And we're going to play a tune that a lot of people have played, Louis Armstrong being one of them. And this is called the Beale Street Blues. I want to, besides introducing them, I want to tell you about their organization real quick. I'm going to have Kelly, do that real quick. And then we're going to have her and her partner dance to something that is really good flapper music.
I have to stand on my tiptoes for this one, I think. I'm Kelly Townsend, and I, along with Chris and Veronica here, Amanda, Peter, and Helen, we're all from Fresno Swing Dance, and we do all dances from the 1920s through the 1950s. So we teach lessons in Lindy Hop, which is a swing dance that came out of the Charleston, and we also teach Charleston as well. So if you're interested in those things, come see us. We also do parties, events, vintage DJ, and all kinds of other fun stuff that you can contract us for. So anyway, enjoy the show, and thank you so much.
Two eyes of blue. Oh, what those five could do. Has anybody seen my girl? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaux. Has anybody seen my girl? Well, if you run into a 5'2", covered with fur, diamond rings and all those things. Bet your life it isn't her. Could she love? Could she woo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my girl? 5'2", eyes of blue. But oh, what those 5 feet could do. Has anybody seen my gal? A turned up nose, turned down hose. Never had no other beaux. Has anybody seen my girl? Now if you run into a 5'2", covered with fur, diamond rings, all those things, bet your life it isn't her. Could she woo? Could she woo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? I'm tired just watching them. Dedicated to Jay's love. It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around, finally found that somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, and even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, a wonderful you. It had to be you. had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around and finally found that somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, and even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. Some others I've seen might try to be mean, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, a wonderful you. It had to be you. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, the wonderful you. It had to be you. Okay, we're going to do a favorite of mine from this time period called Baby, Won't You Please Come Home. Just a warning, watch the tag at the end. It's real. It's tricky. Baby, won't you please come home? 'Cause I'm tired and all alone. Well, I have tried in vain, never no more to call your name. 'Cause since you left, you broke my heart. 'Cause I thought we'd never part. Now every hour of the day you can hear me say, baby, won't you please come home? Daddy needs mama. Baby, won't you please come home? you please come home? 'Cause your daddy, he's all alone. Now I have tried in vain, never no more to call your name. Since you left, you broke my heart, 'cause I thought we'd never part. Now every hour of the day you can hear me say, baby, won't you please come home? Daddy needs mama. Baby, won't you please come home? Baby, won't you please come home? We have a very cool tune for you that was from this 1974 movie. I really like it. And I had sort of forgotten about it until I started researching into this movie. And then not only remembered about that, but also remember it has some other ties. One of the ties is Dizzy Gillespie took the tune later on and wrote one of his great bebop classics called Groovin' High, off the same chord changes as Whispering. So this is a tune called Whispering that comes from that movie, and I'm gonna find the words here, right in, I'll find the words by the time we get through the first chorus here. or I can scat, one of the two. Or or better yet, I'll whisper. Whispering that you cuddle near me, whispering so no one can hear me. Each little whisper seems to cheer me. I know it's true that there's no one like you. You're whispering why you never leave me, whispering why you never grieve me. Whisper and say that you believe me, whispering that I love you. whispering so no one can hear me. Each little whisper seems to cheer me. I know it's true that there's no one but you. You're whispering why you never leave me. Whispering why you never grieve me. Whisper and say that you believe me. Whispering that I love you. I was born in the wrong time. I love those songs. Why don't they write songs like that anymore? I don't know. Now something for our dancers. 1, 2, back. Let's see how good they are. Bum, bum, dum, dum. Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, the Fresno Swing Dance Society, yes. I think they brought some information too about their organization that you could probably get from them right as soon as we finish in 1 second. We're gonna play maybe one more tune, and this is one of my favorites. Gotta get my old tuxedo pressed. Gotta sew a button on my vest, 'cause tonight I gotta look my best, 'cause Lulu's back in town. Gotta get $50 somewhere. Gotta shine my shoes and slick my hair. Got to get myself a boutonniere, 'cause Lulu's back in town. You can tell all my pets, all my Harlem coquettes, Mr. Otis regrets that he won't be around. You can tell the mailman not to call. I ain't coming home until the fall, and I might not get back home at all. Lulu's back in town. Let's hear it again for Ron Catalano on the saxophone and clarinet. Kevin Kearley on the trumpets. Andrew Munoz on the piano. Adán Infante on the upright bass. Gary Newmark on the drums. and the wood blocks made out of plastic. And Robert Bennett on the banjo. And I'm Les Nunes. Thank you so much. And I hope you can see how this great music had been kept alive through the book and through the movies and all of that. And I hope maybe some of you, maybe the younger people, have heard some tunes that might have sparked your interest, and you'll carry on and share with other people. So go to all the other Great Gatsby events, because there's some really great stuff. I'm very interested in a bunch of the different events that she talked about. And so we'll leave you with one quick version of Indiana.